I sacrificed everything for success, only to realize money can't cure loneliness. After 15 years chasing wealth, I gained everything and lost myself in the process. It was a crisp autumn morning when I hit the milestone I'd been chasing for the past 15 years. The promotion to chief of surgery at Metropolitan General came with everything I'd dreamed of: the corner office overlooking the city skyline, the 7-figure salary, and the respect of my peers in the medical community. I should have been elated. Instead, I found myself standing in that pristine office, staring at my reflection in the window, and barely recognizing the person looking back at me. I thought I had it all figured out. The formula seemed so simple: focus on your career, build the future you're envisioning, and everything else will fall into place. Man, was I wrong. The only thing I have is my career, and it's a hollow victory that echoes through my empty apartment each night. Today is Thanksgiving, and I'm sitting alone in my apartment as the holiday weekend gets underway. From my 38th floor window, I watch the city come to life as I feel I slowly succumb to the opposite force. The streets below are filling with families rushing to dinner gatherings, couples walking hand in hand, and groups of friends meeting for holiday drinks. My phone hasn't buzzed once today, except for a generic Happy Thanksgiving text from my carrier. My old friend Mike sent me his annual Christmas card last week. The photo shows him, his wife Sarah, and their 3 kids all wearing matching pajamas, posed in front of their fireplace. They look happy. Complete. I remember when Mike and I used to share an apartment in our residency days, staying up late studying for boards and dreaming about our futures. He chose a smaller practice in the suburbs, prioritizing time with his family. I chose the prestigious urban hospital and the relentless climb up the career ladder. My friends are all with their families and loved ones now, most with small children of their own. Everyone is rightfully consumed with their family and close friends. I just don't fit in those settings anymore. The last time I attended a gathering at Mike's house, his 5-year-old daughter asked me why I was always alone. The innocent question hung in the air like a heavy fog, and I made an excuse to leave early. I could absolutely go out on my own, hit one of the upscale bars in the city, maybe try one of those new restaurants everyone's talking about. I'm not throwing a pity party, it just doesn't sound appealing to me. The thought of sitting alone at a bar on Thanksgiving, surrounded by strangers celebrating with their loved ones, seems worse than staying home. Looking around my apartment, there are remnants of who I used to be. My guitars collect dust in the corner, I haven't played in years. I used to love music, would spend hours practicing and even played at local venues during med school. But somewhere along the way, between endless surgeries and hospital board meetings, I convinced myself I didn't have time for it anymore. The same went for my hiking gear, my easel and paints, my collection of classic novels, all abandoned in pursuit of what I thought was success. The dating apps on my phone mocked me with their notifications. I've been on countless first dates over the past few years, each one more disappointing than the last. At 42, most of the available women my age have complicated lives, ex-husbands, children from previous marriages, demanding careers of their own. Not that I'm any prize myself. The last woman I dated, Jessica, a brilliant corporate lawyer, told me I had the emotional availability of a brick wall. She wasn't wrong. My last serious relationship ended 6 years ago. Catherine was a pediatric nurse at the hospital, and for a while, I thought she might be the one. But I kept canceling dates for surgeries, missing important events because of work emergencies, and eventually, she stopped trying. "You're married to your career, James," she said as she walked out of my life. "There's no room for anyone else." The friends I grew up with look at me differently now that I'm successful. There's an undercurrent of resentment in our interactions. Tom, who I've known since high school, made a snide comment at our last meeting about how some people forget where they came from when they make it big. I wanted to remind him of all the nights I spent studying while he was out partying, all the sacrifices I made to get here, but what would be the point? During my 20s and early 30s, I was consumed by intense graduate school and postgrad training. While my friends were getting married, buying houses, and starting families, I was pulling 30-hour shifts at the hospital, publishing research papers, and climbing the professional ladder. I grew apart from and lost touch with many good friends during those years. Some tried to stay in contact, but my responses became shorter, less frequent, until they stopped altogether. The irony is, I used to be incredibly extroverted and could talk to a wall. In medical school, I was known as the guy who could make even the most stressed out patients laugh, who always had a story to tell during long surgeries, who organized the social events that kept our class sane during exam periods. Now, not only does small talk and interacting with people seem pointless, I've realized I can barely keep a conversation anymore. Last week, I had coffee with Dr. Peterson, my mentor from residency. He's retired now, spends his days traveling with his wife and visiting his grandchildren. We sat in an uncomfortable silence for most of the meeting. When he asked me about my life outside of work, I had nothing to say. The look of pity in his eyes was unbearable. Interaction with people is a task now, and usually a disappointing or at best unremarkable occurrence in my day. The other day, a new resident tried to engage me in conversation about a challenging case. Instead of sharing my experience and teaching him like I should have, I gave him a curt answer and retreated to my office. I saw myself in his eager eyes, remembered when I used to be that passionate about learning and connecting with others in my field. Now, I just go through the motions. I'm a shell of my former self. The James who used to play guitar at open mic nights, who went camping every summer with his friends, who could light up a room with his energy, that person is gone. I don't have anything to offer anyone other than money. And that's a worse feeling than having no money, which I've also experienced. I remember my days as a struggling med student, living on ramen noodles and coffee, but even then, I had friends to share my struggles with, dreams to chase, and hope for the future. In my tireless journey for success, I lost my humanity, and there is no worse poverty to experience than that of connection. The other day, I was performing a complex surgery, the kind of procedure that used to give me an adrenaline rush, that used to make me feel alive. But I felt nothing. Just mechanical movements, muscle memory, and an emptiness that no amount of professional achievement can fill. My parents called yesterday. They're spending Thanksgiving with my sister and her family in Colorado. They asked me to join them, but I made an excuse about being on call. The truth is, I couldn't bear to sit there and watch my sister's perfect family life, to see the worry in my mother's eyes when she looks at her perpetually single son, to feel like an outsider in my own family. I hope this finds you well, and I implore you to nurture your connections. Love your family and spouse. Be present with the ones that matter. Lean into your friendships. There is no higher calling as a human than to brighten the world of those you love. That's real wealth. I think about Catherine sometimes, wonder if things would have been different if I had realized this sooner. If I had understood that all the surgical skills in the world can't heal a lonely heart. In a world that's obsessed with status and appearance, achievement and comparison, chasing these vague axioms will lead to a life of emptiness and regret. I see it in the eyes of my colleagues, the ones who are following the same path I did. They think they're investing in their future, but they're mortgaging their souls. Be thankful for what you have and for those you love. It's the only currency that matters. The sun is setting now, casting long shadows across my expensive furniture and pristine hardwood floors. Through my window, I can see families returning home from their Thanksgiving celebrations, children skipping along the sidewalks, couples walking close together against the evening chill. The city is alive with connection, with love, with all the things I sacrificed in pursuit of success. I'm writing this as a cautionary tale to the young professionals and young adults out there. I see you, with your ambitious plans and your relentless drive. I see you working 60-hour weeks, canceling plans with friends, putting off relationships because there will be time for that later. I was you. And I'm here to tell you that trying to fulfill yourself and find meaning in life through accomplishment and finances alone will not suffice. Many young people driven to achieve are running from something in their past. I was running from the memory of my father's unemployment when I was a teenager, from the shame of wearing second-hand clothes to school, from the fear of never being enough. But success is a poor bandage for childhood wounds, and achievement is a hollow substitute for love. If you're lucky enough to have friends and family who care about you, cherish them. If you have hobbies that bring you joy, don't abandon them. If someone loves you, don't take them for granted. Success is meaningless if you have no one to share it with. I know my situation doesn't hold a candle to most of human suffering. I'm not looking for pity, I made my choices, and I have to live with them. But perhaps my story can serve as a warning, a reminder that the pursuit of success at the expense of everything else is a fool's errand. Tomorrow, I think I'll dust off my guitar. Maybe call Mike and see if his invitation for Christmas is still open. It's probably too late to rebuild all the bridges I've burned, but maybe it's not too late to start building new ones. After all, I'm still breathing, still here, and maybe that means there's still hope for me to find my way back to who I used to be. The city lights are twinkling now, each one representing a life, a story, a connection. From up here, they look like stars fallen to earth, each one burning with the warmth of human connection that I've denied myself for so long. Maybe it's time to come down from my tower, to rejoin the world of the living, to remember what it feels like to be human again. But for now, I sit here in my success, in my solitude, in the consequences of my choices. The silence of my apartment is broken only by the distant sound of traffic and the occasional burst of laughter from the street below. I've achieved everything I thought I wanted, only to realize I was chasing the wrong dreams all along.